follow me on Twitter. Once the stream is done, I will go ahead and send it over to the YouTube setup, so that way if anyone watches through YouTube, they can watch there. Let's see, where were we? I think we were getting ready to do bigger rockets. I know I bought a bunch of stuff right before the last time I left, which may not have been the wisest thing, because now I can't really remember what I was doing. Okay, we got the couple module, so we're getting close to being able to start the space stations. Don't have much for engines. We do have radiators, which really isn't going to help us a whole lot. Kind of need a I kind of need some solar panels, because I need to be able to go further out. Sorry about that. I had to mute myself. Are any of those on suborbital flights? Well, let's pull up the last craft. You actually remember this actually flew fairly well for the what it is. I really don't like the strut thing down here, but it does work until I can get the better struts, because then I can put in the, but this worked fairly well. Okay, what modifications? Let's look at some of the missions that we have. They only want to go on a suborbital flight. Suborbital flight. Suborbital. Okay. I'm going to do new. We're going to try a new rocket. Did I not have one of these already? Don't save yet. Guess not. Okay. Don't want this. Do want that. Open that up. We're going to toss some science inside. Let's twin it. For now, that should be mostly everything I have. Put an extra set of pressure gauges in here because I haven't done pressure gauges much. I can do some extra pressure readings. Okay, now well, that's not gonna work. And that still doesn't have a heat shield on the bottom of it. So I don't lose my progress. I'm just going to go ahead and save this as a Alpha X. And that's what it'll be. Eventually, I need to get the heat shield to put underneath of it, so I'll just save this here. I'm going to load up my Alpha 6. And then, what can I do? I can't ferry people with this. I need more science. I also need to be able to go further in space. To get further in space, I will need batteries. Okay, that should have increased our battery power quite a bit. Because each one of those are 100, so that's 400 more battery power. I shouldn't lose all of my battery power going up in that. Let's see. Look at my tables here. I want to get to Duna. Or not Duna, Mun. I want to get to Mun. I need a total of 6,250 Delta V. So I need another. And I need 1,750 to get back. I might be able to. Let's see. What if I added another fuel tank to the lower? Even if it's just a smaller one. Okay, that puts brought my Delta V up some. It dropped my. I can't go any lower on that. The other option would be. Why would it? Okay, just thinking about giving a smaller boost. That might be enough to get it into alignment with Duna. Now, I'm gonna wait until launch. Okay, so I'm going to sit on the pad until I can see. Yeah, I was concerned about that, but I didn't have a whole lot of choice. Okay, I want to launch when Duna's roughly there compared to where if I'm on this side of the planet. So basically I'll wait until I'm coming around, and there. We're going to launch right about here. Should bring us up and then around, and we can do a loop out and back. Okay, well, here goes. That was a really bizarre launch. I lost a lot of my thrust in the wrong direction. I may have caused some issues on being able to get to the... I won't lose my altitude, but my orbital velocity will not possibly not be enough. I want to get this tilted over further before I do a hold, like right about there. Start pushing my orbital velocity way up, while also getting more altitude. Okay, so here we go. hopefully, once I do this, I have 1715 to go. I have I have half of it roughly on what my current stage is. So here in a minute, I'll execute. I'll still have a fair amount from that one. I should be able to return safely. The concern I have is power, because that's why I went with the electrical charge. Okay. Speed this up just a hair. I'm going to kick it at 5 seconds. Should be able to burn off about half of this right now. And closing in on the stage. Just gonna watch it to make sure I don't pass the point of since I'm actually way out of my time. Okay, it's not a great Mun periapsis. It also leaves me with a fair amount of fuel to get home. I still have 1425, means after once I get out here, I can drop this back in. I do have issues with the fact that I don't have a way of generating power. I mean, let's see, I could cut. I'm going to chop off that power for now. By doing stuff like that, I can, I'm trying to basically save some power. I can turn them back on when I get to where I need to do a maneuver. The Apollo, I think Apollo 13 might have to have done it, maybe even other Apollo missions, where they would cut power, and just save the batteries. They'd basically disconnect the batteries, so they saved them. So that way they would, until they needed their power again, they would kick them on. Then now they actually turned the power back on a little bit earlier, just so that way they could, turn the heaters back on, make sure things, thaw things out a little bit before they started igniting engines and stuff like that. Now see, this should only drop down by about right now I only have it letting it use 300. So let's see what happens. Now, it's not a great orbit, and it does slingshot me kind of a bit far back, but once I get up to this point, I will decelerate. And 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Okay, we are now high above Mun. We'll do our science. Gonna get all kinds of science now. I know really temperature won't do crap, but it still will count for a whole nother location. I doubt this will do anything either, but again, and we'll do okay, all kinds of science. Go ahead and close that because we don't really care. We want to do a crew report. Then do an EVA. Okay, I think that's all the science I have for now. I probably have enough fuel that I could stabilize my orbit around here, the moon, but I really don't want to do that. Just gonna go ahead and kick it back up on time. Okay. Gonna go ahead and see if I can get any different science now that I'm way out. Because we're now high over Kerbin. Now I can't get another observational, but I think it'll let me do another EVA. Okay, so I am basically at the periapsis. I'm going to cut the apoapsis. I'm going to cut the periapsis way down. I want to cut it down to about, I'm going to cut it down to 60. It means I will skip off because I'll be going way too fast, but it also means that I will be able to, let's enable the batteries I disabled. Because, oops, let's do a prograde. Why am not generating any charge with this engine? Okay, we want to sit there. Go ahead and close. Apparently this engine doesn't create some electrical charge, so I'm going to turn those back off because I don't want to deplete until I get down towards the periapsis. Okay. We are 40 seconds to periapsis. At the periapsis point, I'm going to do a burn to bring my apoapsis down in. Oh, I'm going to have to turn the battery back on. Because we were dead in space. Okay, and apparently you just have to kick it high enough to get electricity back from the engine, this engine. Because that's now at half. Most of these are now up at half. We should be good. We're on a destable, or on an unstable orbit now, a decaying orbit. When we swing back around the planet, we will end up entering orbit. Yeah, that's all there is to that. Just going to drop the periapsis now down there to 40. Okay. Right. It's bad to do physics time warp above the second one. Let's see here. We should be technically exiting the atmosphere here in just a second. Now there's all kinds of realism mods for this if you really want to get into stuff like that. Some of them turns the planet into Earth and all the orbital stuff into things like Earth, where you actually enter the atmosphere at a much higher altitude and stuff like that. Changes all the planets over and all the distances. I do use some mods, obviously. A lot of them are to help me better engineer rockets, you know, with like MechJab, or to better control my rockets. Some of them are for things like SpaceX. I'm a kind of a fan of what SpaceX is trying to do, so, and actually all of like the Origin Blue and all them, it's kind of cool seeing what they can do. But I have the SpaceX mod, like someone has done all the parts. So I have that in here. I also have the Kerbal alarm clock, because, well, that's just cool. And I did the Kerbal attachment system because I kind of like the idea that you'd be able to technically attach parts together once they've landed at someplace or while they're in space, because, you know, to me there's more to, once you get something into orbit, they do add struts and stuff, so I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do that now. The mech jeb, they already have kind of flight control systems for rockets, because going up for the most part is under computer control. I'm sure there's some variants that can be done with by the astronauts or by the flight control, but for the most part it's all computer control, waiting on everything to go right. Okay. So that way I ditch. Let's do it this way. I'm ditching this last stage at an altitude and such that it goes away from me. Because I don't want it to collide into me. That would kind of suck. So as it drifts off that way, we will decelerate differently. It won't slide back at me. Because if I just had done it this way, it could have just been pushed right back into me, and that could have been really, really bad. Now it's just going to slide out that way. And depending upon where I land, depends on if I'll be able to get any, like, soil sample. If you hit F3, you can do your status flight. It'll tell you everything that's gone on, anything that has happened. Like things that crashed, like the parts I dropped. Apparently a radiated decoupler collided with into the vehicle assembly building. So we might have some damage to repair. I was trying to remember. Don't want that. Now, there's a way to turn on the dots and I'll tell you the distance. I keep quick saving because I'm trying to do that. I really thought, yeah. Heck is. I'd have to look it up again. Not exactly sure what that triangle is. Let's see. Let's see, tutorial basics. I don't want... Yeah, there's all kinds of... Some people have done all kinds of math for this game. So if you have any questions, you know, you can easily just, like, if you just start searching, Google it, you know, you can find all kinds of stuff. Let's see here. I'll worry about that a little bit later. Thought it was one of the F keys. Oh, I guess it is doing it, so I guess I don't need to worry about it. Okay, so we're coming in for orbit, or landing. Should be standard landing like every other time so far. Let's see, it looks like we will be landing on land this time. I doubt we might hit that one section of water. And let's see here. Not really. Yes, their speed's going. Oh, I bet. Oh, we we were going down so slow that like our orbit was declining so slowly. We actually had started coming back up while in the atmosphere just a hair. Because we were back up at the where our periapsis was roughly. We slid around that altitude for a bit before the air had slowed us down enough that we were going in for the landing. I'm gonna guess we're gonna land in this area roughly. I mean, we may hit that stretch of water. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And I'm gonna guess our other part already blew up. Oh no, there it is. It may technically orbit because it's outside the physics range, which means it's too far away. The air won't be slowing it down, so when it hit the periapsis, it just started going back up because it's too far away for the game to calculate how high it, or anything slowing it down. So I may have to control it until I blow it up, or it basically just do say I'm controlling it, even though I can't control it because there's no command module on it. and just let it burn up in the atmosphere. It's one of the ways sometimes you have to do to get rid of some of the debris. I mean, I could also just do the other method of going to the control center and just telling it to destroy the debris. I don't know that it technically calculates having those doors open versus doors closed being any different. It's somehow the forces overlay, and I'm trying to figure out how I turned it on so I can turn it off. We are definitely landing on land. Yeah, I really need to figure out what I did there. Aerodynamic overlay F12, which also does a screenshot for go ahead and accelerate it, try to get it down on the ground. The sun's not up here, but it should be eventually. So this is the dawn of the morning. Let's see here. Oh, and if I sound different, it's because the mixer I had acted up. So I went back to using my old headset. A replacement should be here tomorrow. And then I have to ship back the old one. From what I read, it was actually a common problem. Which is always fun to learn that you bought something that has a common problem. Basically what it was that happened is all the channels peaked out. There was a loud hum on everything, and when I did research I found out commonly that's caused by the capacitors, two capacitors on the power supply board on the inside. Apparently probably either bulged or completely blew, and you have to replace them. Now, apparently, the company bought really cheap capacitors, So, though, if you buy like a higher quality version, like audio quality version capacitors, they'll work a lot better, last a lot longer. I'm kind of disappointed that that's the case, because, I mean, you know. Yeah, no, I forgot to turn off the thing. So let's see. Take surface sample. We don't get crap much, but you know. I don't know that his EVA report, well, it says it'll give us something. And recover our data. Should have nice tons of science. Yeah, there we go. Get a lot of science from doing stuff around, well, flying in Mun orbit and back. I can upgrade, but I don't. Apparently it didn't damage it, or damage it much. Okay, let's see here. Okay, like I said, I probably for the splash down. That's interesting. $50, $135. So this is one of the things where if I fly it, it'll burn up. It's probably that lower rocket stage. Yep. It'll wobble all over the place. Now it should be, let's see, I am right here, so it's going to be pulling this down, and obviously this. It'll still go back up once, probably, but it's, like I said, again, on a declining orbit. There's no way it's going to stay in orbit. It's interesting that it's turning like a top a little bit. Okay, so once it gets up to 70, I'm going to obviously, yeah, sometimes you have to turn off the time warp to get the time warp to jump to the next type of time warp. And since this has no power, no fuel, no anything, it won't let me. Yeah, I could do all kinds of control stuff, and those aren't turning. None of it's gonna work. So, I mean, you can technically kick on and off the engine, but it doesn't. It wouldn't fire anyway because it's no power. It needs a little power to start producing power. Okay, we're back in the atmosphere. Now, we just wait and it'll eventually just blow up. if you look out there, there's the way I found out delta V's is someone created a nice little graphic that tells you all the different delta V's to get from point to point. And there's also people who have created spreadsheets and stuff like that. I actually have one of the spreadsheets, so that way I know how much delta V it is to get from taking off at Kerbin and going to a place, and then how much it takes to return. That way I know I could get the delta V needed to do a flight there and back. Now, eventually, what I plan on doing is building a setup. I was thinking at geostationary orbit. I don't know if that's a wise altitude, but you know, it was one that they had put in. It's one of the few things they had put on the document for an altitude, so I just went with that. Now, geostationary orbit's like 2,600 or 2,863 or something like that. I'd have to look it up again. But basically, you're at an altitude that you're going around. You're going around the planet as fast as it spins. So you stay above one point on the planet all the time. There are things that we have in our geostationary orbit for Earth. They have satellites that sit up there because they need to be specifically over certain points. And they did this because, well, it's like if you had a communication base and you wanted to keep one specifically over that base to talk, you would put it into that geostationary orbit. Now, there are other things that work similar to cell towers, a lot of comm satellites, and they are in geostationary orbit. They are more in they just have a kind of a grid, a network, where at any given point in time, there's at least one of them over you, and that's how, like, the sat phones are able to communicate and stuff like that, because at any given point in time, there's one of those satellites above you. A good way of thinking for the geostationary orbits, that would be things like there are at least 3 of the geostationary orbit satellites above you, which do your it's basically for your for tracking you. If my brain's slipping, but basically it's just for tracking you. It's to give you the coordinates on Earth. So they have 3 of them that sit in a basically they can calculate what your longitude latitude is based on they know where they are. And then they sorry about that. And then yeah, they know where they are, so then they can calculate, like, okay, I'm here, this one's over there, that one's over there, so your GPS coordinates are this. And so the GPS satellites sit at specific spots. And I do play other games besides Kerbal. I just have been playing Kerbal for the stream the most right now. I do plan on streaming other games for you. It's just right now I figured I'd start with something simple that takes a little time to get going. I probably will start, I don't know if I'll start a fresh game or just show you where I'm at in Fortress Craft Evolved. Wow, if I would have had parachutes on this thing would actually have made it down. I didn't think it would make it through the atmosphere. Okay, so do F3. Now, and go to, I should have went to the tracking station because I got one more rocket to deorbit. I like to do a cleanup as best I can because, well, it's nice not to have to worry about crashing into other parts. Okay. We are here. Oh, this is not going to... Oh, apparently the other part had already deorbited. This part will not be coming back. Now, I have in the past sometimes created a thing that grabs onto them and then decelerates with them and then burns up. So this is going to be stuck in space for now. And I like to leave stuff like that for a chance to... they're very persistent today. But I leave some of that stuff in orbit for that chance just because, well, you know, makes it interesting, gives you another challenge. And it's what you would have to deal with in real life if you were to destabilize orbits. Honestly, I need electronics. I have 450. Let's get some solar panels. I don't know that I need more solar panels. At least having some will help a ton. I'm not sure I care about the miniaturization, but I want those 2 struts. And that's the only reason I'm doing that. Okay, we still have 110 left. Maneuver translation. Lander can wouldn't be bad to have. Modern propellant stuff wouldn't be bad to have either. The heat shield. I need that bigger heat shield. I had already ran into that problem. But let's look at some of the other parts here. Nose cones, engines. I think I'm gonna have to go for the heat shield. Just so I can start working on that bigger rocket again. They want to fly by Mun. Fly by Mun. This could be a pain in the ass. It is a way to get free another astronaut for yourself. I'll accept it. We'll have some time to get the stuff we need to actually do it. Oh, apparently someone else is stuck in orbit. I need at least a scientist. There, we got 2 new scientists. I'll leave it at that. That dropped my funds. I like to have scientists because eventually you're going to need a lot of, well, when you get the science compartment thing, you're going to need a fair amount. Okay, we want to go to Alpha X. We want to... Now we can go to aerodynamics, grab the 2.5 and slap it on. There we go. Now we also have, I believe, the parachute for the top of this. But because I'm adding a bigger section below, I do like to add 3 more chutes. Just to make sure this can hold the weight. Now, let's see here. I want a decoupler. Not that one. And that will be my whole deorbit stage section. What I want okay. Should be enough for it. I like to do tri-legs. And that should just be low enough. It should just stabilize the landing. And that's all I'm doing there, is trying to stabilize the landing. That could be an issue. And then they're too high. Damn it. I like to keep this down there because all the weight in it will keep it from being the whole thing from being top heavy. The landing struts I like aren't accessible right now. See, to get that, then the doors are going to be a problem. I don't want to break crap just to... Okay, so... Why won't it let me... So one leg would be fine. That would be it. I think I'm going to just have to risk it until I can get the other part. I've screwed up something on getting the alignment so I can just rotate and stuff. Whatever. Don't know that it really matters a whole lot. Oh, that's close. Whatever. Okay, rocket. See, those are tiny. And see, you can bury them half in the bottom. So then, when you grab the engines, they just snap on. Okay, command and control. I said command and control. I only want one. Just slap it on there. Actually, let's open this up. I don't want to see you. This way it doesn't burn up, it doesn't do anything, it just sits inside. Now, I'm not sure if I can... Yeah, that's going to be a problem with doing a stage like this. It works, but I can't really exactly do that. So, an option, I guess, would be to do I'm just using this to test some things with. If I could get it to... Don't know what I can do here that would make this easier. Pushing a lot more weight. What engines do I have? It's not helping any. I don't know. I may have to rethink this. Might have to get more science first. I could work on getting a flight that just gets into orbit and back. So But for now, let's see. Tempted. Kind of tempted. Let's add another fuel tank. Go back to the octagonal strut. How many engines can I put on here? Okay, that's got a thrust to 1.69. I really would rather have a small stage up here to control the final. I don't know that I like. But I could get rid of the people that are only wanting a suborbital flight. Okay. Right now we have a 1.69 thrust ratio. .35. Okay, now we're going to go to 4s because I want to add some aerodynamics. Winglet. Structural. I want to do structural. Go to 2s. We want this. Okay, first stage is at 1.73 now. Let's save it. I still don't like the fact I don't have a small upper. Actually, let's just put a small upper. It'll just be a deorbit burn. Need another decoupler. Want an engine. Not a big fan of that, the way that looks. Really? It's got a 1.01 thrust to weight ratio? That's interesting. I'm going to add a couple struts to keep this stable. Maybe. Let's do 4. Just want to keep it stable. 5, 6. Go ahead and save it. We'll add okay. This should be safe to land. I want this out of the way. Okay. And for now, I'm gonna stop the stream.